I always said I had a voice for radio.
That's all right. Not a problem.
And to taste.
Yes. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to open the April 14th meeting at 7:05.
So moved.
All those in favor by aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried, meeting open. For attendance, we have Leonard Lozes here, Stacy Delaree, Stephen Esposito,
Yep.
Amy, John, and our attorney, Joe Moriello, and Catherine Fuller. Okay, next item I would like to discuss is the minutes from March 10th, last month's meeting. Anyone have any comments to make? Alana?
Yes.
I have something to add. Let me see. It's on page 3. It says the applicant are seeking 3 variances.
Mhm.
It says 2 of which are identical in nature, addressing building height. I would strike, let me suggest first, I would strike where it says 2 of which are identical in nature, addressing building height. And I would put in relief from second story as required by design standards, and relief from design guide and bulk table use. Those 2 items, that pretty much establishes more or less what they were in fact seeking relief from.
Okay.
And the other thing, the last thing, is on page 6. No, yeah, page 6. At the very bottom, it says, Mr. Gatto understands the need for relief, but is concerned about chipping away at town zoning.
Mhm.
I thought Catherine said that, and I really wasn't sure.
I
So,
think I remember they both, I think John said it and then Catherine agreed with him. So I
Okay.
can always add that.
that was my next thing, that John did also agree with that also.
Mhm.
But aside from that, I have no more comments unless anyone else has something that I missed that they would like to add.
Then you can move to approve this as amended and I'll just do the changes.
Okay.
tomorrow.
I'll entertain a motion to approve minutes as amended,
I move.
seconded by Stephen. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, quorum check for the May 12th meeting, which is the second Wednesday. I can be there. Steve?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Catherine?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Okay, and Stacy? Okay, looks like we have everybody there. Okay, at this point in time, are there any comments? Oh, entertain a motion to open the public comment time.
So moved.
So, okay, all those signify by aye. Public
Aye.
comment period.
Aye.
Okay, any comments from the public?
Just to be clear, this is not for Trans Hudson or for Six Spies Road. It's just general public comment.
Correct. I also would like to remind the public that the Trans Hudson public hearing has not been closed and it is open. We will get to that. Okay, any comments from the public?
The only ones I have, I think, are for the public hearings, not public comment.
Okay. Okay, entertain a motion to close the public comment time.
Move.
Thanks, Bon. Thank you, John. All those signify by aye.
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 Okay, public comment time is closed. Okay, the public hearing is for 6 Spies Road. Mr. Geiser. Entertain a motion to open that public hearing.
Move.
Thank you, Catherine. All those signify by aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the public hearing is now open. Does anyone have anything that they would like to speak in regard to the application for the swimming pool at 6 Spies Road?
I don't have anyone in the chat, but is there anyone here for Spies Road?
Yes. Right here.
Okay, yes, Mr. Geiser, please speak.
Yeah.
Wait,
So, I am here and I'm ready to answer any questions. Let me know how I should proceed.
okay. Alana, I noticed that a phone number just popped up. Is that in regard to Spies Road or just someone that's on?
I don't know, is that 845-233?
Yes, that's it.
Are you here for the public hearing for Spies Road?
I am. My name is Jesse Conklin. I'm the owner of Conklin Pools for Spies Road, and I can answer or try to answer any questions that anybody has.
Okay, this is just for the public hearing, so not the application review. Just yet.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I don't think anyone's really here for the public hearing, so you guys can probably close it. I didn't receive anything in writing either.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
And the applicant completed the affidavit for the mailing and
That was-
posting of signs.
That was my next question. Okay. Board members, do you have any comments or questions?
Just remind me, I don't have it in front of me, but I'm recalling the drawings. It seems like the pool as situated is in a place where it really cannot be seen by any adjacent property owner. Is that right?
That's right.
Yes, from the plans, that's the appearance that I got, John. Mr. Geiser, could you speak in response to that, please?
Yes. We live on Spies Road where the road forms a big loop. And it's also crest. There's a crest in the hill that loop encompasses. And at the top of that crest is the whole hill actually is heavily forested. And at the top of the crest, there's a relatively flat place where we decided that would be a good place for the pool. And so the design was set up for that. That place being from 70 feet above the road to about 10 feet above the road at the minimum is basically invisible from the road or any neighbor, both because it's surrounded by forest and it's also above eye level in all cases. So we believe that that it will not impact visually anyone in the neighborhood.
Is that true in the winter when vegetation is different?
It'll still be true then. We're not planning to use it obviously in the winter, but because it's above the level of eyesight, you will not be able to see it. If you were standing on the road, you'd have to come up to the house or go into the woods on our property at that level to be able to see anything.
Maybe this.
I have tested that out. I've gone out on the road during this winter, and obviously the vegetation is very sparse then. But if you look up to the area where the pool would be, you cannot see that area. It's just what you see is the hill going up to it, but not the area itself.
Maybe I could ask this of Stacy. It seemed to me like most of the difficulty here was due to the fact that this is kind of a fluky road that even though it's one road, it comes off as a corner lot.
Yes, the road goes all the way around, so I'm classifying it as a corner lot, yes.
I have reviewed the application and I don't see any indication of septic fields. Am I missing? Did I miss something?
Well, let me take a look.
I realize you would not build over the septic fields, and also the reserve area is something that I don't see it on here. Am I missing it?
Looking at I guess maybe the best place to show where it is not in the area of the pool. If you look at the map, which shows the area, it shows the pool.
Excuse me, are you referring to the map that has the map of the lands of George Creevling?
It's this one here. If you can you see this?
Yes, that's the one I have in front of me. Okay.
Okay, so if you'll see the house and you'll see where the pool is.
Yes.
If you look at the house and you go to the left of it and go down, well, there's actually a somewhat of a slanting going down, leaving the house. The septic field is on the left side of the house.
Okay.
And does not intersect or even come close to the pool. So
Okay.
we're totally away from that.
Okay. Yes, Stacy.
Based on the sighting of his pool, he's gonna have to do some tree clearing. So if he continues through, you'll see another map that looks like this.
Yes, I have that map.
Okay, and you'll see where the pool is. They're gonna have to do some clearing, so that also indicates that the septic is not there.
Okay, so it appears from that map that you have, Stacy, that there's more than adequate room for the reserve area if in fact they wouldn't ever need it, because you could just go further to the left?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Joe, any questions?
No, Lynn.
Okay. Any board members have any questions?
Nope, I'm good.
Entertain a motion to grant a variance.
Lynn,
Yes, Joe.
sorry, maybe I jumped.
Oh, I forgot the 5 questions.
Yeah,
You got to close the public hearing too.
Yes, okay, thank you. Problem is Valerie's cooking dinner and it smells very good. Okay, I entertain a motion to close the public hearing for the application of 6 Spies Road. Okay, all those in favor signify by aye.
aye.
Okay, public hearing is closed. Now, we go to the 5 questions, and Mr. Geiser, if you could please answer yes or no to these, and I will read them aloud. Whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance.
No.
Okay. Whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance.
No.
Okay. Whether the requested area variance is substantial.
I don't believe so.
Okay. That's close enough to a no.
Okay.
Whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
No.
Okay. Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, which consideration shall be relevant to the decision of the Zoning Board of Appeals, but shall not necessarily preclude the granting of the area variance.
No.
Okay. Discussion on the board, from the board, with regard to those answers and any other aspects of the application.
Nope.
Okay, I guess at this point in time, I would make a motion to grant the variance for the placement of the pool at 6 Spies or Spies. It's Spies or Spies?
Speeds.
The Summit Spies and the Summit Spies.
Okay. I entertain a motion for approval for the granting of the pool to be permitted at 6 Spies Road. Seconded by Amy. Thank you. All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Okay, motion granted. Thank you for your help. Okay. Alana, I will drop this off at the town hall probably tomorrow.
Sure.
Once I get the paperwork from the ZBA, we will review your application and call when the permit is ready.
So this should be, what, a couple of weeks?
Probably the end of next week.
And should I be optimistic at this point?
Getting at the end of next week. I'm hoping.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, the next item is 12 North Putt Corners Road. I entertain a motion to open the continuance of the public hearing.
I move to continue the hearing.
Thank you, Catherine. All those in favor continue by aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. First item, before anyone begins to speak, I would like to let them know that the paperwork just got here from the County Planning Board. The applicant has asked for a continuance of the time to allow them to make commentary as to what the County Planning Board said. So if you would like to speak with regard to this project, please state your name, where you live, and then you may begin. Alana will open you.
I would like to speak.
Yeah, Judy, you can go.
Okay. My name is Judy Dorney, and I live at 8 Pinecrest Road. I am reading a letter that was written by Susan Blickstein, who is a friend and neighbor. She was not able to be here tonight to read it, but I believe she has sent a copy to the board members. So I'm hoping that you have all had a chance to read it, but if you haven't, I will read it.
Thank you.
Okay. Dear members of the Zoning Board of Appeals, as you may recall, I chaired the committee that worked diligently on the vision and proposed zoning for this area. This involved working with a highly qualified consultant and with committee members who were volunteers who put in countless hours to craft a new vision and zoning for this area based on public input. As the vision for the gateway area and zones were developed, one key part of that vision was the prohibition on drive-through restaurants. The committee and consultant viewed this as an essential part of the zoning that is now in place. Our discussions, both in our committee and in public sessions, focused on ensuring that this area does not become a de facto throughway rest stop, and that the vision be less dominated by the automobile and more mixed use in nature. In fact, the entire impetus for the visioning and zoning effort was to move away from the 1970s strip development pattern that is auto-dominant and has historically defined this gateway. Upholding relief to allow a drive-through truly negates the vision and zoning so diligently created for this area, and I urge you to respect the effort that went into that development. Only the applicant benefits from a drive-through. Indeed, it adds to impervious coverage as drive-through lanes and stacking take up additional room on the site. It also reinforces an automobile-first design approach, one that is no longer considered desirable for mobility, environmental, and resiliency reasons. It is time to move on from antiquated designs that have created the traffic and likely air quality issues that we all experience at this key intersection. I view the proposed drive-through as a significant impairment to the zoning we worked so hard to develop. Drive-through restaurants also generate more traffic more quickly, trips are shorter, and turnover is higher. They are also much more likely to operate 24 hours per day, requiring emergency services and police patrols overnight. With the ability to do curbside pickup and to designate parking spaces for this service, it is also difficult to understand why this variance is needed. Once granted, this variance will run with the land and continue on even if the current use and user change over time. Let me repeat, this area is not envisioned nor planned as a throughway rest stop. The obvious compromise is to designate spaces for curbside pickup only. As for the second story variance relief, this is also clearly at odds with the desire to create an activity center with distinct mixed-use character in this area. Second-story offices or residences afford the ability to share parking resources, capture internal trips on foot, and generate the vitality that is central to a mixed-use area, all without increases in coverage. More efficient use of land resources also advances smart growth, as well as other environmental and sustainability goals of the community. The request for a single-story building appears to benefit the applicant while impairing the vision and zoning for this area and diminishing the vitality that comes with a synergistic mix of land uses. Lastly, the combined effect of the drive-through and lack of a second-story result in an auto-oriented strip development with a trail that runs along its edge. This type of development would have been welcomed 30 years ago, but our region, the town, and the planning field have evolved significantly since then to a better understanding of the importance of smart growth. As the first major development under the new zoning, allowing variances for major elements of the vision zoning is a precedent that does not bode well for future development proposals in this area, or for valuing the hard work and significant resources that went into its creation. I urge you to respect the gateway vision, goals, and zoning developed for this mixed-use area. Thank you for your time and the opportunity to comment. Susan Glickstein, New Paltz.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Len, are you guys keeping the public hearing open until next time?
Yes, we are. Well, I will entertain that emotion as a motion at the end of once everyone has spoken. But yet the answer is yes.
Okay, because Dan was here, but he said if you were keeping it open, he wasn't going to comment tonight. So
Okay.
I don't think anyone else is here unless they.
Well, if out of fairness to the applicants and the attorney, since the information from the county just got in their lap today, I think that everyone should have the same privilege to speak. So therefore, I would entertain a motion to continue this public hearing until the May meeting. But I would also allow anyone that would like to speak with regard to this particular project at this meeting also. So they could speak at either one or both.
Okay. I don't have anyone else in the chat, so unless they didn't get a chance to give their name and address, they can speak now. But I don't see anyone else here.
Okay. Okay, I would like to entertain a motion for a continuance of the public hearing for 12 North Putt Corners Road, with the understanding that the information just got here within the last 24 hours from the Ulster County Planning Board. I'll entertain that motion.
Len?
Yes, Joe.
I'm sorry, and before the board takes a vote, and Alana, I keep seeing a telephone receiver in a circle that keeps lighting up. And I'm wondering if that's someone who is trying to get in?
No one is trying to get in. There is a phone number, but I'm pretty sure that's Jesse
Oh, I see. Oh, okay.
Conklin. Yeah. But there's no one else. If you were talking about that phone number, I'm pretty sure that's Jesse.
Okay. And I'm also then assuming that neither the applicant nor the attorney is on the line or attending at the meeting.
No, they're not here.
All right. So I
Okay.
just think that if it's continued, I think that it should be with the direction that the board or Alana send a copy of the letter that was just read to the applicant promptly so that they have it.
Was that letter sent a while back? Because I got a couple letters from Susan.
I believe so.
Okay. Do you have a date on it just so I can check and make sure?
Well, the one that I have is dated as of yesterday because
Okay.
that's when it was sent to me.
Okay, but you don't have the original, because I definitely forwarded one from her. I don't know if this is a new one.
Yeah.
I forwarded a couple from her, so I don't know if this is a brand new one or.
I think it might have been sent in February.
Okay, so then, yeah, I'll check again, but it was probably forwarded to members already, but I'll check.
And to the applicant, Alana, as well?
Yeah, I always send them to
Right.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Lynn. Sorry.
That's okay. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor for continuance of this public hearing for 12 Spees Road. I need a second, please.
For 12 North Putt Corners.
North Putt Corners Road, I'm sorry. Thank you for the correction. Dave, did you
Yeah.
second that or are you just smiling?
I'm saying yes. The
Okay,
extension.
okay. All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, application review. If we, oh, okay, number 2, 33 Craigswood Road. Edward Olaby. Are you there?
Yes, I'm Jesse. I'm acting on behalf of Ed.
Okay, that's fine, Jesse. Could you, I realize I've read your application, but could you speak on that particular item on the agenda?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So anyone that might be listening that would not have seen the application would be able to speak, to ask if there are any particular questions. Okay, thank you.
Sure. So what we have is we have a big flag lot, okay? A house sits pretty much in the center of the flag to the east side. Immediately to the east is a large cliff that just runs uphill. Directly to the north, we have woods, a dropping grade, and the septic system. To the east, we have a dropping grade and a small retention pond. We are asking for a front lot variance to be able to put the pool in the front of the house. We're still, 400 plus feet off the road, completely invisible to any neighbors. But it's realistically the only location on the property that would allow for the construction of a swimming pool and keeping, the septic and grades and things of that sort in mind. So it's really the only reasonable location.
Okay. Anyone have any particular questions?
Yes.
John?
It's not quite clear to me what's wrong with some of the large amount of acreage up towards the top of the property.
Okay, so on the north side of the property, there is on the proposed layout map that I sent in, there is a topography lines, okay? So, I mean, you have a severe grade change, all right? It's also, you know, bedrock and woods, all right? The immediate cleared area to the northwest of the house that's the existing septic location, all right? So if we were to clear any farther down and put the pool there, then I'd be in the reserve area, which wouldn't be, you know, obviously we can't do that. So it's just a topography. I mean, it's like a pack mule and a compass, big boulders and 45-degree slopes and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's hard to see on the map that I'm looking at, or it's impossible to see.
Yeah, I mean, to quite honestly, if there was a reasonable location in the back of the property that was feasible, then we would not be entertaining a front yard pool at all. I wouldn't be wasting your time. So, I mean, we've done a lot of effort, a lot of design work, and all that sort of stuff to get to where we are here. And I'd be more than happy if any of you folks would like to come out to the property and walk it with me. I'd be more than happy to show you everything. I've got the location for the pool flagged out, and all it would take is one walk in the backyard to see the ground situation, and it'd be real clear.
May I ask?
Amy has a hand up.
I think this is not only a question for the applicant, but a general question for Mr. Moriello. If we can't see something from the road just passing by, there are times when it would be beneficial to go on the property. Is it okay if we make individual appointments? Would it be better for the whole board to go? What do you recommend? That question is.
I'm sorry, is that question directed at me?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we can go individually, or the entire board can come. I can schedule with the client. I can meet you there. Fred, the building inspector, he was on site for a pre-site inspection when I filed for the permit to start this. So, I mean, he has firsthand knowledge of the terrain on the yard. But then again, I'd be more than happy to meet anybody there at any time.
Excuse me, that question was for Mr. Moriello.
Oh, my apologies.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. It's a good question, Amy. And one of the concern, if the board is going to go as a group, or if 3 of the 5 members are going to go, the concern is always to make sure that there's no violation of the open meetings law. There is no violation if the members are together for the purposes of acquiring information only. So for instance, if you were all going to attend a seminar and no business was going to be conducted, you're okay under the open meetings law. Site visits can be troublesome. If the board decides to go as a group, or if more than 3 are going to go at any one time, it would be imperative that there be no discussion regarding the application or its merits, or any discussion as between the board members, and that would include the applicant as well. If you had a general question for information, for instance, who set the flags that we're looking at, and the applicant answered, I would say that would be for information only. But you really have to avoid discussing the application as a group at any time outside of the meeting. Short of that, and if everybody feels that they can be careful and not violate the open meetings law, you could go in a group, or you could go in groups of 2.
Okay.
Makes it a little more burdensome perhaps for the property owner, but I'm sure that they understand what the concerns are.
So I could call Alana if I wanted to visit a property more than on the road. I could call Alana and ask her to set this up with her.
Yeah, like I could send out an email in the morning to everyone, and or I could talk to the applicant first and get some dates and times that would work for the property owner, and then I could send that to you guys, and you could decide which ones work for you, and we can figure it out that way.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, if I could say so, I think it's more proper for all of us to go at once. We're all seeing the same thing. We're all hearing the same thing. We're not getting any one-on-one with the applicant. I just think it's more proper to have us all go at the same time.
But
I
if
mean,
that's
that probably would be favorable if you all want to make a site visit, again, subject to the limitations on the open meetings law.
Right, I understand.
if we all went together, would it have to be a publicly announced meeting?
No.
If, no, because the purpose of the getting together is not for the purpose of conducting business of the board. The purpose is to go to acquire information from a site visit, but that's precisely why it has to be limited solely to that purpose.
So I would, just so I'm clear, if I needed a site visit, I would speak to Alana, who would speak to the applicant and tell people when they can come. If we can't all come together, the next best thing is to come.
No, well, you can all go together.
Yes, but if we couldn't, would it be okay for one of us to go at a time?
Yeah. Well, I think there, John's point is probably well taken. It would be best if the board in this situation could do it as a group. And I think the suggestion of getting maybe some available dates and times from the owner, so you don't go back and forth trying to schedule it. If everybody can fit it into their schedule, again, if it's only for a site visit, I would suspect that that should not take long. There's really not going to be any presentation made to you. There's not going to be any discussion. You're going to look, you're going to see.
Thank you, Joe.
I would definitely benefit from a site visit on this one.
Okay. Well, let me ask, I guess, just for to throw it out there, is there a particular, many of us work, so many are Saturdays or Sundays more appropriate?
That works better for me, or very late afternoon, which is sometimes hard.
Since at least for now, we'll probably have light after business hours. Maybe
That's true too.
Do it on a weekday afternoon.
You know, weekday early evening or weekend is fine with me.
Okay, so everybody, it appears as though is much more more toward the end of the day, somewhere anywhere between 4 and 6 would work. Just threw that out there.
Yes.
For me, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Catherine?
Yes, that would work for me most days.
Okay. Well, since we're all here now, rather than pay phone tag and everything else, is there a particular day or time that somebody would like to go to look at 33 Craigswood Road, and then the applicant would only have to meet us there? We have to also make sure that it conforms to his availability in regard to the schedule. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, no, Friday's no, Thursday, which is tomorrow, it's supposed to rain all day, so we don't want to go then. So how's next week sometime?
Good work.
Steve?
Yeah, next week.
Okay. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, somebody pick a day.
Monday or Tuesday are best for me. I cannot do Wednesday.
Okay.
How about Monday?
Monday's good.
Monday's good. Okay. So Monday
Can I-
at
Can I jump in? How about Tuesday at 4 o'clock?
No.
Was that a no, Catherine?
No, I'm sorry. That's okay for me.
That's okay for me.
That works for me.
For me.
Okay, so Tuesday at 4 o'clock. And please keep in mind, with regard to the information that Joe Moriello just gave us, that we are not there. We're only there to be educated of the spot, not to discuss the spot with regard to suggestions or questions that should be discussed with regard to the open meeting. Is that correct, Joe?
Correct, Len, and, you know,
Okay.
if I may, before we leave this point, John had a question, and I have the same issue. The diagram that I'm looking at with my copy of the application, it is very hard to distinguish those elevation lines. I'll ask the applicant if there is maybe some way to darken the map. John, was that your point, to see if you could see?
Yeah, I can't really see the contour lines.
I'm sorry?
I can't really see the contour lines on that map.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, if there might be a way for the applicant to maybe submit an additional drawing or darken those a little bit for the board's use.
Yeah, I can send over another PDF tomorrow. I'll call the designer first thing in the morning and have him send me a better plan. But I also think, you know, which obviously I'll send that over, but I think Tuesday when we all get together, it'll be blatantly clear when we take a look at this. I mean, there really isn't one level spot on the property, for the exception of, you know, where we actually want to put the pool. But I will have the designer send something over to me tomorrow morning, and I'll forward it right to the town for your review.
Thank you.
Can he possibly, is it okay to ask if he could extend the area shown on the topography? North of the house isn't shown very much, at least what I'm looking at. So it'd be helpful to see the extent of the entire property and that topography and why it can't work north of there.
Okay, so you want a topo of the entire property, not just just so I'm clear, so I know I have to ask the design team for.
That would be helpful to me. I don't know about the other board members.
Yes, I think I would think that will answer all the questions. I think the more that is there, the fewer questions there will be, because it will be more visible.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
All right, I'll get going on the paperwork, and can I ask for a motion to have this whole thing extended for next month's meeting as well?
We still have to set the public hearing for next month anyway.
Yes. Well, the public hearing will be at the next month. But I still have to make that recommendation. So we are not closing the book today. So I guess at this point in time, I would like to entertain a motion for a public hearing for 33 Craigswood Road for the location of a swimming pool on that property.
I'll move.
All those in favor by aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. So there will be a public hearing at the May 12th meeting with regard to this property. Please contact Alana. She will provide you with information that you need to notify the neighbors in the surrounding area. And then there will be an affidavit that you will complete and return to her so we can further continue on with this project.
And for next week's site plan visit, will the pool outlines be marked out?
Yeah, the four corners of the pool will be flagged out.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're very welcome.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is a 19 Outlook Farm. Chris Schmidt has the application for a swimming pool to be on that property. Is Chris there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Chris, can you give us a brief overview as to why you're here?
Sure. So I'm the pool contractor for the O'Connors. I work for Neve Group. We're handling the application for the area variance for the in-ground gunite pool that they'd like to have installed. The area variance that we're asking for is to place the pool in the side yard of the residence due to the location of the septic field in the back. And then there's an additional septic field from an apartment in the barn. And then there's a slope that goes down towards the back of the property with a wetland buffer down there. So the reason for wanting to put the pool in the side yard is to keep it within proximity to the house and to not disturb the slope in the rear yard.
Is there any question? Stacy, you have a question. You have a hand raised.
Yes, I have a technical question, Joe. Joe, if there's an apartment in the barn on this property, it's an illegal accessory apartment without the proper permits or land use approvals, can we move forward if there's a violation of this nature on the property?
At the present time,
They
it would.
Yeah,
Excuse
they may
me.
have to, they could maybe go along together, but I wasn't aware that there might be an allegation of that with the garage, because I take it this application, part of it hinges on the fact that there's a septic area that services the garage that precludes the pool from going in, maybe in that location, as opposed to the suggested side yard. So I think it's going to have to be something that's going to be looked at.
The septic system was approved and installed when the garage was built, but the garage was not built for an accessory apartment.
Okay, I might have misspoke on a technical matter there about it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
And it's habitable space, then that's a violation if there's a dwelling there. So my question goes to, can we move forward on this application if there's a known violation?
Well, it's an enforcement question, I think, for the building inspector's office. The zoning board of appeals isn't really an enforcement agency.
No,
So your office is going to proceed however it proceeds, and I certainly think it can. I don't think you're precluded from doing so. I think the board, in light of the fact that there's no final determination on that, could set this down for a public hearing.
Okay.
Take information as it comes in. You'll have to see whether or not you'd be able to close that public hearing and make a determination, maybe depending on what happens with the enforcement issue. Because I don't know the facts of the alleged violation, other than we're now talking that there seems to be one at the property.
Yeah, I picked it up on the application that was submitted for the pool. That's where I picked it up.
Amy, you have a question? Please speak.
So I see that, Stacy, on the memo that you sent us. And it also says that the approximate wetlands and wetlands buffer are not delineated. So I think before we open a public hearing, we might want to get some more information about the location of both septic systems and the wetlands and the wetland buffer. And even if the pool is marked out, we need to know that other information and how they're going to get to the place where the pool will be to construct it. You don't want them to drive over a septic system.
Correct. May I speak for a moment?
You may.
Thank you. So the wetland is denoted on the site plan and the buffer and on the survey, which we had provided to the building department. And the buffer is approximately the stone wall that was placed there. And the wetlands were flagged originally when the survey was created. And as far as the access to the pool site, we will be coming through the front yard as to not drive over the septic and damage it.
I think we need a site visit on this property as well.
Yeah, I mean, if the board wants to ask the applicant for maybe more detailed information if it's not satisfied as to the location of the wetlands, etc., certainly ask now. The board really needs to set a public hearing, but it need not be set at tonight's meeting. You can have 60 days within which to set the public hearing, and it could be set at the next meeting if you feel that the application is then complete.
Can I ask if the board has had an opportunity to review the plans that were submitted by our team?
Yes, I have reviewed them, and I compliment whoever did the work. It appears to be very well done.
So,
But I have a question. Is where it says wetland, is it just, there's a difference between wetland and wetlands with regard to the soil types, the vegetation growth, and all those things. So that has not been delineated. I guess my question leads more toward the fact, is it a seasonally land that gets wet? Is, you know, there are things like purple loosestrife and skunk cabbage that mark it out more toward a wetland property. Hydric soils, all of those things contribute to it. So I guess that whoever wrote on their wetland, who made that determination that in fact it is a wetland? Or I guess my question leads more to, is it a seasonably wetland?
no, I believe that they are determined actual wetlands. And that's something.
The memo that Stacy sent us says the applicant shows an approximate area of wetlands and wetlands buffer, however, not delineated. So we would need to know if those are official wetlands. We need to know the boundaries, and if they're not official wetlands, it would be helpful to know that they interfere with the building of a pool in any other location on this property.
Right, so Chris, the problem is the way they drew this. If you and I both, well, and the board is now informed that these are mapped wetlands, but the way they show it on the map, it just shows a wetland edge and it just shows a buffer. There's no indication of where that information came from. Is it because the person who drew the map just saw it, or is it the actual delineated edge of the wetland? That's the question.
So you're looking for an actual flagged wetland on a survey?
Yeah, if you have one.
Is
Okay.
Is it a DEC wetland or is it just wetland? I think that's what Len was asking.
Right, they are DEC wetlands, I do believe, and I can confirm that. And I believe that we went through our wetland mapping, the state wetland mapping tools to determine where they are and assign that.
But it is the Ulster County parcel viewer shows DEC wetlands, and it shows them in that general vicinity, but it goes to great pains to explain that it's not an exact boundary. So I think that exact boundary is really important in this case.
Right. So is the board asking us to have the wetlands flagged? Is that?
I think, is that something that the DEC has to do?
No, you can have a soil scientist, a licensed soil scientist, flag the wetlands.
Well, it's something I'd like to see before.
I guess I'm more concerned about what Stacy is.
The reason I pointed out to you is because if that's not accurate and it's further back, there's additional area there for the board to consider. It's the only reason why I'm pointing it out. Okay, it's unclear on this map where it is. So if it in fact is where you show it, or even further up towards the septic system, that's even less room for the applicant to have an area to put a pool. So it's just important for the board to know what's really there. And I think in my memo, I recommended that you might want to just go take a look at it.
Right, and I think in my estimation, in our selection of the location for the pool, we did take into those considerations. And one, the offset that we would have to have from the septic system, given that we're below grade, does push us down towards there. And in my experience, it has been that everyone thinks it's in the best interest to stay as far away from these extremely important and protected wetlands as possible, considering that we would also be interrupting a rather significant slope, causing runoff and silt issues going down towards the wetland, which, ultimately we want to have anything but a negative impact on the wetlands. So even if there was room down there to place the pool, I don't think it's really feasible nor reasonable to place it there, given the distance from the house and then making it much closer to the wetlands, given that we do have a location, although it is in the side yard, where we can easily screen it from a very low traveled road, with many other pools and side and front yards within the same area.
So if we paid a site visit,
Sure.
can you walk us through the location of the different things, how one would get to the pool to construct it, the runoffs that would occur when you change the slope?
Mhm.
Okay, well, if that's going to be the case, and we're all going to gather at 3 Craigswood Road on Tuesday at 4 o'clock, could we, by the time we drive from Craigswood to Outlook, that's probably 10, 12 minutes. How long do you think we would be at Craigswood, and what time would we arrive at 19 Outlook Farms? Well, I guess I need to ask if everyone would continue, or if everyone would be interested in doing them both at the same day.
Do
Okay,
them both the same day if we can.
Yes, that to me makes the most sense. Okay, so so I'd say 4 o'clock we'll meet at 33 Craigswood Road, and somewhere around 4:45 we probably would be at 19 Outlook Farm. Mr. Schmidt, does that work for you?
We are speaking about next Tuesday, the 20th.
Yes, that's correct.
Sure, I can make that work.
Okay. Tuesday and
Stacy, will you come with us? Is that
I'd have to check my calendar. I'm not sure if I can make Tuesday, but if I can and the board wants me present, I can certainly be there.
Joe? Was that appropriate?
In light of your suggestion, Amy, if you're going to do this site visit, I would caution the board, you're not really going to be able to engage in a give and take with the agent for the applicant without violating, I think, the open meetings law.
yes,
Those
I would think that.
questions and those kind of responses are going to be a problem. If you're going to go together to view something, that's pretty much all you can do. Is
Just look. We're just going to look. Would you agree with that, Joe?
Now, I
Are we
agree.
able to? Sorry.
If the applicant is going to submit additional diagrams, information regarding wetlands, and their arguments as to why, based on that evidence, the pool should go in a different location, all of that would be proper at a public hearing, and certainly, Amy, you can inquire at that time, but not at the site. I think that will have to come later.
I would just ask that as much as possible that both septic systems and the wetland and buffer be flagged.
Are we able to review any of the plans right now through screen sharing? Is that a possibility? I think it's easier to understand the layout of the property possibly now, even prior to the site visit.
Technologically, you should be able to, but it's up to Len if he wants you to do that.
If you want to get more information, more accurate than what's on here, you may want to wait for the later submission, but it's up to the board.
I would recommend waiting for the next submission. What's the rest of the board? What would the rest of the board prefer?
Yeah,
I'd
I
like to
agree.
wait. I'd like to see the site and then review the,
Yes,
next
I think that would be more appropriate.
Does this preclude us from having a public hearing where a decision is possible to be made at the next meeting?
No, I was going to make a recommendation for a public hearing to be held at the next meeting. At the May 12th meeting. Stacy?
Chris, just before we move on to a public hearing, Len, Chris, what I missed in my memo in regards to your plan, I'm going to bring it up now because if that is the case, you may need a second variance. Sheet 1 of 2, you show the split rail fence diagram. And you show a 4-foot high fence. But it appears you're showing it above a 2-foot tall stone wall. And I don't know, I'm, so in essence, the fence is really 6 foot high, and you can't have a 6-foot high fence in the front yard, which the fence, if you look at your site plan, the fence comes out in front of the front line of the house. Therefore, that portion would be in the front yard.
Could you refresh my memory on where you are on the?
I'm on sheet 1 of 2 of your site plan.
That helps. This one?
Yeah. And it's a little confusing because none of your photographs show it depicted that way. So I don't know if it was an error or if it was an original thought and then a change.
I'm sorry, I'm just pulling up the site plan. I had the presentation with the site plan on it, and I'm not seeing the stone wall. I'm sorry, yeah, so that is an error in the detail. I do apologize. It's gonna just be a 4-foot tall split rail with a mesh on it.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Okay.
4 foot is permitted in the front, Stacy, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody?
I see what, it's actually not a stone wall. What the detail is showing is how far the posts are being buried into the ground.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, anybody have any more questions or discussion with regard to this application at 19 Outlook Farms? Okay, I entertain a motion for a public hearing to be set at the next meeting, which is May 12th at 7 p.m.
so move.
All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Okay, motion carried. So, Mr. Schmidt, Alana will provide you with the information that you'll need to notify your neighbors.
Okay.
And you will have an affidavit in the end that you will have notified your neighbors. So we're set to go from there.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you very much, members of the board, and I look forward to meeting you on site on Tuesday.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Have a great night.
Have a good night. Joe? Joe, are you there?
Yes, Len.
I received a question from Alana with regard to letters that come from Stacy with regard to any situation from any applicant that is applying for a variance. And those letters come addressed to the zoning board members. Is it appropriate or inappropriate to send that to the letter from Stacy to the applicant?
I think that once the letter comes from Stacy's office to the board, it becomes part of the record and the applicant's entitled to it.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know any reason why it would be privileged and not available to the applicant unless, Stacy, you have a different view?
No, I do not have
Okay.
I think it becomes part of the record. remember, the applicant gets to the board because in effect, they've had a denial of their application to do something by the building inspector's office.
Yes.
I've always considered these memos to be explanatory to the board, kind of as to why that denial occurred, and therefore why the applicant is coming before you for a variance. Because without it, they can't get to you in
Sure.
the first instance.
Okay, does anyone have anything else that they would like to discuss at this particular point in time?
Glenn? I do.
Yes, Joe.
I don't know if the board is aware, I guess they are, that there has been filed a proceeding in the state of New York Supreme Court under Article 78 of the Civil Practice Law and Rules by 139 Route 208 LLC by its managing agent, Angelo Rotolo. Has the board received copies of the papers?
Yes, I have.
All right. The action names the Zoning Board of Appeals, does not name any members individually. I received a letter just the other day from the insurance carrier for the town, which was not unexpected, that it will not provide an attorney to defend that Article 78 under the insurance that the town has. That's not out of the ordinary, that's not unusual. But they did send a formal letter. Technically, I would, if the board so chooses, I would ask for a resolution of the board that I answer the petition in the Article 78 proceeding on behalf of the Zoning Board of Appeals. That briefly will means that Alana and I have to assemble the entire record that was presented in that case from beginning to end. That record has to be certified. It has to be served with the town's formal answer. And I would suggest that it also, that we include a memorandum of law on that. Time is fairly short, so I'm going to ask the board for the resolution if it can this evening.
And I just ask, Joe, is this, is the remedy that he's asking for a special use permit?
No, he's
Essentially, yes. It's an appeal from that determination of the board that you made at your March meeting
I didn't know whether this also covered
that denied it.
the area variance, the use variance, all the other things.
No, it's strictly limited to the decision that you made in March on the application for the special use permit.
Well, especially in light of the clear and comprehensive letter that you sent us last month that formed part of our resolution. I think you should definitely take the lead on sending a letter and possibly representing us as necessary.
I
I'll
don't
confess,
know.
because time is short, I've already started.
Okay, I don't know who to ask about this. I'm hoping Alana can tell me, but someone how much money is available, maybe Stacy may know, in our budget to afford this Article 78 legal.
Glenn, it goes beyond what's in your budget.
Oh, it does. Okay.
It's something that the town needs to address.
It's cost of doing business. Okay, thank you. Okay, I make a motion for a resolution to be filed by our attorney, Mr. Moriello, with regard to the Article 78 proceedings and any overtime that is needed for Alana to be subsidized so that they can coordinate this review and file the papers as filed appropriately.
I so move.
Thank you. Everybody in favor?
Yes.
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed.
And I've been working with Alana on getting the record together. Alana, I will touch base with you maybe tomorrow?
Yeah, I was hoping to have most of it to you tomorrow was my plan.
I understand. I appreciate your hard work. Thank you.
No worries.
Hey,
Okay.
Thank you both very much.
Wait, hold on. John has a question.
not so much a question. I just want to make sure everybody understands I didn't vote to pay for any of this myself.
Okay, thank you. Okay, at this point in time, I guess all business seems to be done. Since no one seems to have any more questions, I entertain a motion to close the meeting.
So move.
And what time's dinner?
As soon
what
as
do
we
we
hang
have?
up.
What do we
Okay.
have?
Oh,
Okay,
I'm
wait a minute.
sorry.
We have a second on that, and a vote? Aye.
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 Good night to all. Thank you.